Hello again, gamers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm the Captain.
And I'm Alex.
And today we're going to be reviewing and talking about the Ghosts expansion for Mythic Mischief. So the Ghosts Click are also basically the hipsters of Mythic Mischief, which is really kind of funny. And they are an expansion that gives you another whole asymmetrical faction to play with. So what do you get when you get the Ghosts? You get their little rules pamphlet, which explains how all of their abilities work. You get, of course, their custom dice for their nice red color.
Right.
You get their board, which you get to do all of your engine building on.
And of course, you get the little miniatures, which are so awesomely done.
Yeah, I love these sculpted
I
minis.
like this little guy. This guy's awesome.
I like the girl with the little banjo. She's fantastic. I like her a lot. And of course, you have their tomes and such, and their specific components. All right, so like the last one we did for the witches, we're going to go over each of their abilities. We're going to go back and forth, and we're each going to discuss what we think of each ability.
Yep.
I'm going to start with Possess. So Possess says you may move a ghost mythic into another mythic space as a move action, and then you can do a Possess action to move that mythic out of that space. Now, here's the thing. This is either friend or enemy. It allows you to move another mythic, so it's most useful when doing it on an enemy. You have to, of course, spend all the move actions to move as far as you want to enter that particular enemy's space, but then spending the Possess action allows you to move them as you choose one space away in any of the four cardinal directions. I would say this is probably one of the better move your opponent abilities in the entire game.
I agree. Playing with them was really fun with that ability. It's one of the most powerful, I think, movement abilities, and like you said, in the game.
And it's very unique. Possess is a very unique ability. Nobody else has an ability even similar, even remotely similar to that.
Yeah. The only issue is that every time you do it, you have to use two actions. You have to use a movement and a Possess action.
Yes.
So it's a little self-limiting, but it has to be because it's so powerful.
Because it's so powerful
Right.
otherwise. Yeah.
The bookcase feature is called Animate. During a move, you may animate a bookshelf, moving it with you to a new spot with the Ghost Mythic. So it basically drags the bookcase with them as they move back where it comes with you. But you have to use multiple animate
For each space you move.
actions for each space you move. So you have to not only do you have to move, you have to use your animate as well.
The only limiting factor to this, in my opinion, now granted, there is a minor limiting factor of having to, every space you move, you have to spend a movement and spend an animate. But the one major limiting factor is you're not allowed to change the orientation of the bookshelf.
Right.
You're sort of dragging it, but it stays facing the same side of the space. So if it was over here in front of you and you're walking backwards, it's still in front of you, it just moved it a space.
Right.
But other than that, this is great.
It is. Like I said, they're powerful, but they're self-limiting because of how many different actions you have to use.
It is, and I think that seems to be a fairly continuing theme with the Ghosts is that a lot of their abilities require you to take extra actions, but then can be really good.
Yes.
In the right circumstances, all of these abilities I think can be really good. I would put Animate above averages in regard to abilities for moving bookcases. They're actually quite good. Now, the third ability is their legendary ability, which is Haunt, which allows them to drop a token under a ghost, and then enemy mythics can no longer move through or occupy this space on the library board. The Tome Keeper can move through the space. Only one library board space can be haunted at a time. If you get your tome back, you can replace it. This is a really cool ability. I like this one a lot. It's got limited uses, but its uses are powerful.
It blocks an entire section of the board, which again on a smaller board makes a big difference.
Well, if there's like a narrow corridor and your opponent was needing to go there next turn and you drop it in the middle of it, suddenly it's like, oh, you just can't go there. Or you can place it in a place between you and your enemy, so it's like, oh, you can't walk up to me and throw me now, monster.
Right.
Or you can place it under a space that has the tomes on it. It's like, I guess you're just not going to collect that tome.
Right.
Because I can walk on it, but you can't.
Or put it underneath yourself, and therefore you can't, like I said earlier, the vampires won't be able to
move past you.
Go through you to get the blood, and it's cool. I've used it before. It's fun. And then the after lunch special is called Ethereal. This is one of the best after lunch specials in the game, I think, because it allows the ghosts, with again using two actions, two movement actions, you can move through bookshelves.
Yes.
Just ignore they're there. The two movements get you into the next space and then through the bookshelf.
Very useful.
Fantastically useful,
Oh, yeah.
especially in the later eras of later turns of the game because of how strategic it is, and you just walk through a wall. All done.
I feel like because of how all of these require you using a lot of movement, you really want to max out
Yes.
the movement of the ghosts when playing with them, because I mean, the ghosts do have really good movement. The ghosts actually have movement that can get up to 10. They are their movement is actually superior to the other factions, so they do enable you to do that, and you do want to max out their movement because it's going to cost you extra movement when doing possess, when doing animate, when doing moving through the ethereal to move through the bookshelves. All of those are going to cost you extra movement. I really feel like you want to max out ghost movement when playing the movement. But that said, I feel like all of their abilities are very enjoyable.
Yeah.
And super unique.
And a very fun faction to play.
Oh, yes. Do you want to rate them first, or shall I?
I will. I will rate them first.
Okay.
For Ghosts, as the expansion is a 10 out of 10 for me. This is one of my favorite factions. The changes that this faction allows you to do and the different movements are very, very dissimilar from any of the others, and I really like the difference that this brings to the game.
This brings a insane amount of variety, and I love the variety that's in here. I'm going to go 9.5 stars out of 10. I think it's phenomenal. I think this is a fantastic faction. It really does add a lot to the game. It is, again, like we said with the witches, you're gonna want all of these expansions. All these expansions are really cool,
right?
Because they all add more variety. More variety is key for this game with these asymmetrical player abilities. You're going to want to try how does this faction do against that faction? How does that faction do against the other faction?
Right.
And these are no different. These are fantastic in that manner. Yeah, you're going to want it. So
I would want it.
Highly recommend. Highly recommend you pick up the Ghosts.
Very much.
Let us know what you think of the Ghosts if you've gotten to try them. If you enjoyed this review of a board game expansion, be sure to give it a like. Share it on all forms of social media. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Captain. That's Captain spelled with a K on YouTube. And until next time, game on.